All right, I now call to order the April 14th, 2026 Board of Trustees meeting, time being 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Clerk making a roll call, please?
Trustee Meagan, Trustee Cannon, Trustee Daly,
Present.
Trustee Moyer, Trustee Teets,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason,
Here.
Mayor Shosse.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda this evening? Okay, I do have an amendment. I'd like to add a presentation to recognize outgoing Trustee Teets, and I'll add that under the community participation. Any conflicts of interest with the agenda this evening? No. Okay. Now it's time for public comment. Members of the public wishing to speak, please sign in, state your name for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes. This is for non-agenda items. You can always sign in after too, Brian.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Brian Ehrlich. I'm with B Lake Productions. I do have your contract to do the fireworks. We've had for many, many years. And I just want to make sure we're aware of the wonderful weather we're having and what conditions that might propose coming up this summer. Lack of water for many things, but not, we don't irrigate those fields over there. And I am gravely concerned if we do not start getting participation, we may have some issues. I've not spoken to the fire department yet. We can do some mitigation with tilling the ground over there, but what I'm concerned, doing the discharge area and the immediate shoot site isn't a problem. It's the fallout area, which is that entire field is all dead, dry. I mean, if you drive by there and blow smoke out the window now, you start a fire. And so in 2012, we had similar conditions and the governor canceled fireworks statewide. And so I just kind of want to get it on the radar that I'm thinking about it. I mean, I've already purchased all the product and stuff, and we can store it if we have to, and that's not an issue. So I just want to let you know that I don't want to get down to June 22nd and so all of a sudden say, ah, okay. So I just wanted to kind of come in and just let you guys know that that is something that I'm watching very closely and keeping track of, and we'll update you at every moment we can. If we know any information, and if you hear any information, I'm very well connected with a lot of the legislators down in Denver. But again, they get out the 14th of May. This could come after that, and so I don't know. We haven't heard anything yet from them, but I'm just putting that out there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I wanted to say is if the town has run their course of public power shutoffs and increased rates from XL, we're ready to listen at Poudre Valley REA. So as vice chair of the board of directors, we've tried talking to XL before. We are the backup feed for them. I mean, would not be an issue. So anyway, that's out there. And I know there's a lot of places where there were citizens from Wellington on one side of the road with their power off for 9 hours. And on the other side, Poudre Valley REA stayed on the whole time. We don't do public power shutoffs. We build our lines and we maintain our lines and we maintain vegetation. And we have very, very high outage rates. I mean, that are very low, I should say. And so I know it'd be a big process and it'd take years to go through it, but it just starts. Somebody has to start. And it'd probably have to come from the town. But anyway, I just thought I'd put that out there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Can I ask you a quick question regarding the fireworks?
Yes.
What's like a drop dead date for you?
July 3rd.
July 3rd? Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, you said
No,
June 22nd, and I'm like, okay, let me back up to that. So I want to make sure that we're communicating with you if maybe perhaps the Board of Trustees may make a decision about fireworks outside of a
Right.
governor's decision or anything like that.
I mean, I'm already starting preparing.
Okay.
And I'm starting to build scripts and I'm starting to load inventory and I'm doing all of that.
Okay.
So that's going to happen and it'll go all the way up until we start setting up equipment.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
okay, and if you guys decide to cancel, we'll just move the whole thing.
To the next year.
Unfortunately for the 250th,
Right.
Yeah,
we would love to not to be that, but so,
Absolutely.
okay,
okay, thank you,
very
Brian.
good. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so outgoing trustee members. Tonight I want to take a moment to recognize Trustee Teets for her stepping up and serving the community and being a voice of the people and just dedicating your time and effort to this. As part of, I mean, the board as a whole and the town and everybody, thank you for that. We have this award that I'd like to hand to you, and then last time when we had Dave, we all went in front. So let's go up there and hand it off and take a photo.
There. There. Good job. All right. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Thank you.
Hey.
Dropping like flies up here. All right. Best of luck to your future endeavors, Trustee Teets. All right, on to the consent agenda. Ms. Clerk, will you please read the title of the items on the consent agenda?
March 24th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion on the consent?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Ms. Clerk, make a roll call, please.
Trustee Teets,
Yes.
Trustee Cannon,
Yes.
Trustee Daly.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason,
Yes.
Mayor Shosse.
Yes.
Mayor, that motion passes.
Thank you. All right, on to action items. Ms. Clerk, will you please read the title for item D1?
Ordinance number 04-2026, an ordinance clarifying effect and timing of ordinance number 12-2024 and ordinance number 02-2026 relating to capital investment fees for existing approved developments.
Thank you. We have Ms. Meagan Smith, Deputy Public Works, and Mr. Nick Redavid to present on this item. Well, it looks like Mr. Bird is possibly.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Trustees. For the record, yes, Meagan Smith, Deputy Director of Public Works. I'm joined this evening by Nick Redavid, Finance Director and Town Treasurer, as well as support staff, including Cody Bird, Director of Planning, to answer perhaps questions I'm not ready to answer. So tonight's item, ordinance before you 4-2026, really comes directly out of board discussion that was had at our March 24th meeting when a local developer requested that the town review options related to the recent increases in water and wastewater impact fees, particularly for projects that were already moving forward when those fees increases were adopted. So based on that discussion and some subsequent staff analysis, this ordinance is intended to provide clarity, fairness, predictability in how the town applies capital investment fees to developments that are already in the pipeline. So this ordinance is policy-based, criteria-driven, and would be applied uniformly to all pipeline developments, which I will describe in a little more detail. So as the board knows, capital investment fees are a primary mechanism for ensuring that new development pays its proportionate share of water and wastewater infrastructure. Ordinance 12-2024 established fees effective January 1st of 2025. Subsequently, ordinance number 2-2026 updated those fees to be effective April 1st, 2026. Now, the concern raised in March was that applying those updated fees immediately to projects that had already received approvals or submitted complete applications could create economic impacts, could disrupt financing, has the possibility of stalling projects, which could result in no fee at all. Now, Ordinance 4-2026 addresses that issue directly. And getting into that pipeline development piece. Now, the ordinance defines pipeline development very specifically. A project qualifies only if prior to April 1st of 2026, it had achieved one of the following criteria. It had achieved final plat approval and recordation. It had executed a development agreement or memorandum of agreement for public improvements, or it had submitted complete building permit applications. And when we talk about pipeline developments, we're talking about projects that are real and active and that factor directly into planning. So current pipeline developments under this definition would include several residential subdivisions, including all remaining lots in Sage Meadows' second subdivision, Saddleback, Sundance, and then a handful of single lot residential infill possibilities. It would also impact commercial developments in the same way. That would include Wellington Business Center, the lots available over at Meridian Trust, Bonfire, Box Elder Business Park, and there are also a couple of commercial infill lots available, just for reference, both north and south of Ridley's are a couple of opportunities that would also fall under these definitions. Now, staff evaluated several phasing options and is recommending the approach that's reflected in the ordinance that would apply a 4-year lock, during which those eligible pipeline developments would pay 100% of the prior capital investment fees established by that ordinance 1224 that became effective January 1st of 2025. And then beginning April 1 of 2030, those developments would transition to 100% of the capital investment fee then in effect, be it that which was adopted by Ordinance 226 or other future board adopted updates to those fees. The ordinance also further clarifies that existing development agreements are not modified and that the provision is time limited. So that phasing provision is time limited. Staff did review enterprise fund forecasts under 2 bounding scenarios. There's an endless iteration of scenarios that could be reviewed. So we tried to kind of bound it in perhaps the lowest risk option and the highest risk option. So we have one where those pipeline projects really slow or nearly come to a stop, and then one where those projects would proceed during that 4-year lock period. And in both of those cases, both the water and the wastewater enterprise funds do remain financially manageable. However, when development is able to proceed, even at the prior impact fee levels, the town experiences stronger near-term fund balances, which does reduce the risk of project deferral in the CIP, and it lessens the risk of future pressure on rates. In summary, staff does believe that this ordinance strikes a balance, a reasonable balance, responding directly to concerns raised by the development community, respects or limits long-term exposure, right, to outdated fee structures, and supports predictable, responsible growth for the town that also results in predictive, responsible fee structures for the town. And staff does recommend adoption of the ordinance. And I'm, again, here to answer any questions.
Any questions on this from the board? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Appreciate it. Just one quick question I might have, because it wasn't entirely clear to me from the ordinance proposed. It sounds like there are still lots in Sage Part 2 that are non-potable lots. So by this ordinance, I just want to be clear that those lots would also fall under then the 12/2024 ordinance, so they would not be paying the lower fees that were established in 02/2026. They would actually be paying the increased amount so it was the 11,094, I think it was.
Correct. They would not fall if this ordinance moves forward. All existing pipeline developments, which does include the remaining lots in Sage Second, which I believe is 30 to 40-ish, 30 lots remaining there. They would pay the then effective adopted by 12/2024, which is significantly higher for the water impact fee than the non-pot that was designated as part of Ordinance 2/2026.
Understood. So just to be crystal clear on it, anything that's in the pipeline up till April 1st would be paying the 12/2024 rates under this ordinance that we're discussing tonight.
Correct.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I will open it up for public comment. Any comment from the public on this item? Please state your name at the podium for the record. Sign in afterwards.
Darren Roberson, Sage Homes developer. Guys, I think the biggest factor is I know we'll be paying a higher rate in Sage Meadows, But when we know our outcome and know a direction, that's what we really need as a development company and a building company. I want to thank the board and the town staff for at least looking into the consideration and the timing of the newly adopted impact fees regarding the subdivisions that have already been approved based off the old impact fees and how that impacts each to move forward in the marketplace. A lot of time and effort went into the replat of Saddleback to make it more affordable for the end consumer with the reduction of water usage, and all of that was based off the old impact fees that worked for the town and this board that at the time that it was approved. Having a timeline to work with, knowing those fees won't go up, helps give a builder and developer confidence to move forward, knowing they have time before things will change. So, and then lastly, on a side note, I just want to thank, this board for the time and sacrifices made to move the needle positive for the town, even though it has not always been easy. But know that things are getting better for the community. So, and we love working in Wellington and appreciate everything you guys do. So,
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. My name is Aaron Blackstone. I'm a member of the Housing Catalyst Advocacy Committee, Vice President of the Wellington Housing Authority, and an incoming Wellington Board of Trustee member. Tonight, I'm speaking on behalf of the Housing Catalyst Advocacy Committee. I wanted to raise a concern about the impact of the recent adopted capital investment fee changes on housing development in Wellington, particularly as it relates to future affordability. I reached out to Housing Catalyst CEO Julie Bruin and Chief Real Estate Officer Kristen Fritz today about these increases. I know I'm a little bit behind, but I'm kind of catching up. Their assessment was that these fees were already considered insurmountably high for affordable housing development before the increase. The new rates at approximately $5,200 per unit for multifamily development, which for a typical 75-unit project translates to nearly $390,000 in additional costs. This kind of increase alone could stop development from happening in Wellington entirely. I recognize the new fees are already in effect, so I'm not asking the board to reverse course tonight. Instead, I would like to ask the board to consider one of three paths forward. First, direct staff to come back with a proposal for tiered fees that take into account unit size, type, and lot size. Smaller lots generally mean less irrigation need and less infrastructure demand, and lot size also tends to correlate with housing affordability. Second, considering amendments to the original fee ordinance to address these factors specifically. Or third, incorporate these considerations into tonight's ordinance while it's being discussed. Wellington has residents who depend on affordable housing options, including seniors and other vulnerable members of the community. I know I will have the opportunity to work on these as a board member later this year, but this felt too important to wait. I hope the board will take steps to ensure our fee structure does not become a barrier to the programs and developments that serve our most vulnerable residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion on this item, and then we'll discuss it?
I move to approve ordinance number 4, 2026, clarifying the effect and timing of ordinance number 12, 2024, and ordinance number 2, 2026, relating to capital investment fees for existing and approved developments.
Thank you. As we dive into this topic,
I'll second.
thank you. As we dive into this topic, I urge this board to think about Wellington's future, what this could do to permitting, things of that nature, and avoid virtue signaling. I think this is an important thing, and I think it's a great compromise, especially when we've been talking about economic development, getting things moving quicker here, lowering the cost overall of the utility for the entire town, because this includes households, commercial. There are multiple lots, multiple sections of this that can be affected. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind as we make a decision this evening. Trustee Teets, we'll start with you.
Okay, so unfortunately, I was not here at the previous meeting. I did watch the video and see Mr. Roberson address his concerns and public comment from the previous meeting. So a lot of my talking points are just key points to consider when we're looking at this. If possible, to bring back a motion to continue this to a further date, to also look at Mr. Blackstone's suggestions about adding additional items into it. I would definitely prefer that we not vote on this tonight, and there's additional information that's brought before all of the new board coming forward with additional talks and conversations for Mr. Blackstone's suggestions. So I'll read off my key talking points, and then if we vote and it passes, it passes. But if we make an amendment to have further discussion from getting feedback from statements, that would be comfortable by me as well. So capital investment fees are designed to ensure growth pays for its proportionate share of infrastructure. The updated 2026 fees reflect true cost of providing water and wastewater system capacity, something that was provided to us in data and numbers and a large survey that we paid a good amount of money for, that was brought before us when we approved these. This is legally defendable. The 4-year lock at prior fee level creates a gap between actual infrastructure costs and the revenue collected. The gap does not disappear. It's absorbed through enterprise fund strain, deferred infrastructure projects, and future rate increases on existing residents being possible. That's my biggest concern when we discuss this, is who's absorbing that cost. This raises concerns about shifting costs from new development onto current ratepayers. Establishing exceptions for pipeline developments creates a precedent that may be difficult to unwind later. Future developments may expect similar treatment, weakening the consistency and predictability of our fee structure in general. There's no guarantee that reduced fees will result in project completion. However, there is certainty that projects built under lower fees will generate less revenue than required to fully fund a system capacity. So if a project is only viable under concessions that shifts costs or risks onto the community currently, that is a signal that further evaluation is needed, careful further evaluation, not to accommodate automatically what's being requested, but a generalized full knowledge of what this impact is going to do to residents now. But I know I'm exiting, but I would have loved to have had more information about this previous to this, so I could have asked additional questions. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you provided feedback. I want to give that opportunity because I know this is something that Trustee Moyer feels very confidently about, and it's one of her standing points when it comes to affordability. So if there is a way that we can wrap this all in one package and make it something possible for the future, that might be something to look at. It's just when you approve it this way, it risks undermining the principle that growth should pay for growth. The decision carries long-term financial implications for enterprise fund stability, capital planning, and current ratepayers. So that's kind of my feedback, my bullet points and understandings. I genuinely feel a full work session with adding a catalyst group into it and understanding how this affects it as a whole might be genuinely beneficial to you guys. Those are my talking points on it.
Thank you. Trustee Ken?
Thank you. I also agree that more discussion should be had on this topic here. This kind of illustrates how we've built an economy based on housing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we depend on capital investment fees to pay for infrastructure projects. We depend on use taxes because we're not generating sales taxes. And as I've said, and I don't want to campaign because the campaign's over. Congratulations, Rebecca, by the way. But you know, every time we add more houses, we add more cost to the town and so forth like that. My concern here is that we have paid for a study that examines where those capital impact fees, how they need to be applied and the rates that were approved by this board. Part of me, I mean, look, I'm going to be honest with you, Darren, when I was a city manager, I would have said, man, that sounds like a great idea. Let's compromise. Let's do this. We should have had you at the table to begin with and such like that. I mean, that would have been my immediate response. And I see the fairness of this structure, but the thing is, I'm just not sold on it at the moment. I feel like we've invested a lot to come up with capital investment fee structure that we need that fits the town. I'd hate to see us step backwards, and delay that for 4 more years. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Daly.
I think we need to consider being good partners. I think that's important. So if folks are making massive investments into our town and planning for the future of the town of Wellington, we need to do things that are fair and encourage them, of course, to invest in our town. So if we are doing things that seem to be pulling the rug out from under someone as they've created all their financials and all their plans around a specific financial model, and then all of a sudden we change that, regardless of the fact that they're already proceeding, already made their investments into their project, that makes us bad partners. That makes us unreliable. And that is not the persona that I would like to put out to Northern Colorado, is that Wellington are bad partners for developers. So whether that's home development, commercial development, any kind of development, I would like people to know that we would love to do business with you. And we're going to do that in a fair way to make you and us successful at the same time. So we received very little, if I don't remember what specific public comment we received for any of the impact fees discussions. I know there was a lot on water, sewer, and storm fees, but not on the impact fee components. And now we are receiving that public comment, and we're receiving it from a very reliable source and from major projects that represent millions and millions of dollars in the future of Wellington. I think we need to take that very seriously. So I am definitely in favor of making sure that we can provide consistency, but of course, without any risk to our town. What has already been proven through this presentation, though, is that there is no significant or likely even financial risk by pursuing this option. So that's already been proven and provided to us as information. So I stand behind that, and I am in favor of this, but I think I would be happy. Oh, everything regarding affordable housing is within our several recommendations that we have. We need to approach that entire thing, not just through impact fees right now. We need to take all of the suggestions through our housing study and start implementing those all across the board. So I wouldn't want to hold this up because of that discussion. That's a bigger topic that we need to approach from many directions at the same time. So I don't want to confuse the topic at the moment, but I think that is very important and requires even more consideration. I would be in favor of amending this motion to only relate to potable water properties, not any of those related to non-pot. Because in my mind, that makes sense. That's where the consistency is. And then there is a benefit and opportunity to provide more affordable housing for the non-pot properties. I think that we should take advantage of that if possible. So that's my feedback. Thanks.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Appreciate all the comments made up to this point. I think there's a number of things that we have to consider here. And for full transparency, when I had initially reviewed the board packet the other day, I was basically inclined to reject any lock on this whatsoever. the fee study did in fact tell us what growth costs, but I also understand the uncertainty for a developer once you've already had a plat that's been made, and all of a sudden the board comes in and says, well, we're going to change the fees, and now you just have to pay those fees. So I certainly understand the uncertainty there. Couple points I want to make regarding the ordinance. This particular ordinance, and I love what's been brought forward. Staff's done a great job on this, but I do think we need to consider the future. So really, this ordinance is kind of a one size fits all ordinance that regards any development that's in place up till April 1st, 2026. From the research that I did over the weekend, it seems like other municipalities kind of manage this by requiring developers to negotiate a fee lock through a legally binding document like a developer agreement rather than via an ordinance, right? So then it's done on a one-off development approach and not a one-size-fits-all deal. But I do understand what the ask was, and that the board directed staff to bring that back just because we had that fee schedule come into play in April here. So I guess then my question for staff might be going forward, what barriers do we have, if any, that would not allow us to adopt a case-by-case negotiation model, surrounding a development agreement, something like that, outside of this. Other comments I have is the big one that hit me is Schedule A in the packet, right, page 23. The big concern for me here is that if we were to not approve any type of negotiation or compromise this evening, and a developer was to pull out, that we could see a situation where the water fund is at negative $500,000 in 2029. So, right, the projections that we had made up to this point was presuming that all of those developments would in fact be built, and 2029 we should be sitting happy with $2.7 million in there. But if that development was not to go through, we could see a real situation for the town where I would not like to shoot ourselves in the foot on this one. So all this being the case, the research that I, again, had done over the weekend suggested that I believe a 4-year moving into a 5-year transition is far too generous. I believe that a 3-year piece would be much better. Most of the agreements I had seen always kind of fell within that 2 to 3 year mark. So if I was going to make an amendment this evening, it would be to amend the ordinance in front of us to a 3-year term rather than a 4 to 5 year term. If that's something the rest of the board would get on board with, I'd be happy to make that amendment.
Thank you, sir. I think it's important to remember this also includes commercial lots. This is not just one developer either. It's multiple developers or developments also that will affect. I like that 3-year lock. I think it would more or less push the developers to get the job done quicker, which would help the town quicker. And I understand that development pays its own way. We've talked about this. There are times where we need to compromise and we need to come together to keep the town moving forward instead of stonewalling it. So I would be in favor of that 3-year amendment for sure.
If I may, I kind of go back to what Trustee Teets said and myself. Maybe we need a little more discussion, because so far we've had 4 or 5 different opinions about which way to go. Perhaps by delaying this and bringing it up, maybe we got a work session or something like that where we could sit down and talk about the options and give staff a little bit more time to take a look at. I mean, I appreciate all the work that staff has done on this. We got a worst case and a best case in those 2 charts, and we don't know what the worst case could be. I mean, a lot of factors can affect housing, construction costs going up, interest rates going up, every cost going up, everything going up could affect that schedule and so forth. And I know that that developers have to learn how to adapt to some of that to some degree. But I would appreciate more discussion on this than us trying to come up with on the fly an amendment to an ordinance.
Okay.
If I may, really quick, I know I got a message. Trustee Moyer's trying to raise her hand to speak.
Oh, she's attending.
Trustee Moyer, you will have to accept the request to be promoted to a panelist.
While she's doing that, I wanted to bring to your attention that the ordinance 12-2024 has a higher per unit fee for multi-residential, which is $8,055. And there's no differentiation between pot and non-pot in that ordinance. And in 02-2026 has a per unit for non-pot multi-residential at $7,340. As most multi-residential developments will either be non-pot or have a separate irrigation tap. So essentially, under this ordinance, the tap fee would be, impact fee would be lower for
For multi, yeah.
multifamily, multi-residential.
Thank you.
So just as a point of
well-
order, if I could.
Has she accepted?
We're getting there. Trustee Moyer, it should be giving you a notification. You will just have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, guys. Ooh, I have multiple audio things happening at the moment. I just wanted to say, first of all, I really appreciate, Darren, your partnership. Can you guys hear me? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry, I have a family emergency, so I'm trying to fly out tonight. That's why I'm not there physically, but this is important discussion and I wanted to be there as I pack my bags. So, Darren, you've been an amazing partner. Your work with the Boys and Girls Club, all the developments around town, that's clear. That's not a question. I think what we really need to consider here, and I like the idea of bringing it back, is that what we do now will set the stage for what we do in the future. And while we want to be great partners, we also want to set the town up for success and make sure that we are doing good business moving forward. We have policies in place from the state, like SB 26001 offers a pathway for us to offer relief from fees for affordable housing and make that more affordable. I mean, that gives us the funds we need to be able to offer concessions on that for developers wanting to pursue affordable housing. So I don't think, while this is important for affordable housing, it is not the end all be all. Like, we have other pathways forward because of these grants that our planning department has worked hard on securing for us through the affordable housing assessment plan that we can use to reduce our fees for that specific endeavor. And I just think that we need to consider this very carefully in both how we are partners, but how we show up in the future and the precedent we set for others moving forward. So I support both 3-year plans. I think the graduated one is more, leans more towards being a good partner. And that we aren't just hitting, like we did with the water fees, all at once and expecting our partners to just take the hit at one time. We can graduate and move forward in a way that works for everybody. And so I just wanted to pop on, and I'm here, I'm listening to you guys. So I definitely have stuff to share, and I hate to miss Trustee Teet's last meeting, but it's important, and I just wanted to be here for that and share that bit. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, do we have Any amended motions?
Can I make an amended motion that you guys bring this back at a later date when you have all of your new boards seated, so there's open discussion and
Yeah, we can get to a future date. This would be uncertain.
Do we need to finish this motion prior to tabling it?
oh, okay.
I would support tabling this to a date certain if we want to have a work session on it. I would support that.
Yes, I would like to also consider, and that is considering it more of a policy related to individual development agreements. And then my goal would be an opt-in kind of solution where so many years could be locked, but I don't see why we should put a project that's already in the pipeline that will offer non-pot lots a disadvantage over other new developments that would be non-pot. So I want to make sure that whatever is the more affordable option for the homeowner in the end is what they have the option to opt into as part of that lock and policy consideration. So that's how I personally would want to approach it. I don't know if that's a way to do it, but that's the consideration that's driving my want to look at this further. And then that way, if it's a policy, it'd be more administratively done, so long as it falls within, I know, certain thresholds, I would think. So that would be my preference. What would be the appropriate process, though, to table this if there's already an amendment on the floor?
We would just postpone
I think since you have as I understand it, you have a motion to approve the resolution on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
The movement can withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
And then you can move to table. And it's at the movement's discretion as to who tables, as to whether you set a date for that or not.
I would like to, what was the word? My motion?
Withdraw the motion.
Withdraw my motion, please.
And I forget, was there a second to that motion?
Yeah, I'll second.
We need a withdrawal of the second as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yep, withdraw the second. Yep.
Okay.
What would be a date certain that you would suggest?
Good question. Looking at future meetings agendas, we are pretty booked until July. So let me get with my team and check on workload. So I would recommend tabling and just tabling the ordinance, not to a date certain. I can't give you a date.
table to a future.
Thank you.
I move to table ordinance number 4, 2026.
I second.
Any further discussion before we go roll call? No? Okay. Ms. Clerk, make it a roll call, please.
Trustee Moyer, I'm going to give you a second to unmute. Trustee Cannon,
Yes.
Trustee Daly,
Yes.
Trustee Teets,
Yes.
Trustee Moyer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason,
Yes.
Mayor Shosse.
Yes.
Mayor, that motion passes.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Clerk, will you please read the title for item D2?
Resolution number 11-2026, a resolution considering a contract for construction services for the Cleveland Avenue Improvement Project.
Thank you. And then we have Lucas Flax, Senior Engineer, will present on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Trustees, Lucas Flax, Senior Engineer with Public Works. And I'm really excited to be up here presenting the construction contract award for the Cleveland Avenue Improvements Project. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for a while. So it sounded real. Last meeting, we presented an animation fly-through, so it looked real. And now with the contract in hand, it feels real. So we're going to build on the last meeting's presentation, talk about the grant funding, just review that, review the budget, go through the contract, go through the bid process timeline to get us to this point, and then the next steps, give you our recommendation, and then open it up for questions or comments. Grant funding, I know we've seen this quite a bit through multiple federal and state grants. Portions of this project will be funded. The first two are part of the HB 1466. So that's the monies that will need to be spent this year. There's also money coming from the Highway Safety Improvement Grant. And then also the NHPP grant totaling 4.4, a little bit more, $1 million. This grant funding will be provided through reimbursements for the work paid by the town. So that takes us into the budget. The funds have been appropriated with this 2026 budget through 3 different GLs. One's the drainage fund. That second number there is for the HSIP improvements that are separate. And then the remaining totaling a little over $7.4 million appropriated. In the bid process, we had 8 contractors bid on the project, which was an excellent turnout. We were really excited for that. The bids ranged from 6.2 million to just under 8 million. With the CDOT process, we're required to take the lowest qualified bidder. That was Colson Excavating Company at $6,231,678.85. Colson is out of Loveland, Colorado. All of their work is done here in Northern Colorado. We were really excited based on the reviews we've heard of them to have them on the team. And they've actually just done an urban rehab project in Loveland on US 34. So they have great experience moving into this project. All right, timeline. So some of this was mentioned last time, the bid process. In February, we posted to BidNet. Towards the end of March, we opened the bids and read them. That's when we identified Colson Excavating. The town reviewed those bids for completeness and accuracy, and then sent that to CDOT for clearance to award. We received that clearance to award 3 days later. That's, as we know, record time. A lot of that does have to do with luck, but I do want to acknowledge Bob Gowing and the relationships at CDOT he's built, and also Nathan Ewert and the working on the contract documents to make them complete and organized for a complete review. So that brings us to now. Oops. So next steps. We can execute the contract following the approval tonight. That will trigger a pre-construction meeting, which could happen next week. And at that, we'll receive the official notice to proceed from CDOT and hand that over to Colson to begin their purchase orders, and should be able to mobilize by the beginning of May. General construction schedule. This comes from JUB, our engineer. They've broken it down into 3 phases, which kind of translates with the main traffic switches that we'll have. And so phase 1 includes most of the critical complex tasks. That's why it takes the most, but that would be middle of August, phase 2, end of October, phase 3, November, and we can close out the project February of next year. So staff recommends authorizing execution of the contract with Colson Excavating Company Incorporated in the not to exceed amount of the bid value of $6,231,678.85. Before I go to the next slide, just wanted to offer a little spoiler alert. Last time we had that animation and we mentioned there was a rooster in the picture. We found it and it's shown on the next slide. So if you don't want to see that and find it yourself, just avoid your eyes. So. There it is. And
nice.
And with that, I take any questions or comments.
Questions from the board on this? No questions. Oh, question?
Mine's more of just a verification. So the funds that you guys did secure for this, are they already guaranteed funded?
For the first, the HB 1466, they do have to be spent by the end of this year.
Correct.
And with the schedule and everything, we see no problems in achieving that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments from the public on this item? No comment. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 11-2026, a resolution by the town of Wellington, Colorado, committing to the award of a construction contract for the Cleveland Avenue Improvements Project in the amount of $6,231,678.85.
I second.
Thank you. Any final comments? No.
Good luck. I think it'll be amazing. You can just see you're glowing. That's how excited you are. So good luck, and I wish all the best with the construction on this.
Thank you.
Thanks. Ms. Clerk, make it a roll call, please.
Trustee Moyer, I'll give you a moment to unmute.
Oh,
Trustee Daly,
Yes.
Trustee Moyer,
Yes.
Trustee Teets.
Yes.
Trustee Cannon,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason,
Yes.
Mayor Shosse.
yes.
Mayor, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to reports. Anything to report, Mr. Town Attorney?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Carl Kumley, Town Attorney of Dietz and Davis in Boulder. A couple items. Number one, I've been spending some time this last week working with Ms. Garcia, getting up to speed on matters involving the Box Elder Basin Regional Stormwater Authority. A lot to digest there, and I do feel as though I'm making some headway there. The next item I want to flag for the board's attention, at our next meeting on April 28th, I'm going to be presenting on some options for the reports from the town attorney and how the board would like to receive those, particularly in light of how you would like to use confidentiality in those reports, since they are in the nature of legal advice to the board. They can be confidential. How you strike the balance between confidential and non-confidential, particularly with an eye toward providing maximum transparency to your constituents, and how we treat things like memoranda that we would present to the board as well. And also the proper use of executive session when you need to go into executive session. And after that presentation, obviously an opportunity for questions, and then hopefully at our first May meeting, getting direction from the board by resolution as to how the board would like to proceed in the future. So that ends my report for this evening.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you,
on
Mr. Mayor.
it. On to the town administrator, Ms. Garcia.
Thank you. In your packet, you will see that we included the irrigation and water conservation guidelines memo, just so it's out there for everyone to see. It was also included, information was provided to the board. I attended, Trustee Daly and I attended a meeting at the Poudre School District this morning. It was the first time Wellington had been invited to that meeting. It included county officials, Fort Collins, and Timnath was there as well. So learning a lot about how they're looking at the decline in enrollment and things like that. They're hoping to have some information public sometime mid-May, maybe the end of May. So we'll make sure to make sure that the board is aware of that information. At your next meeting, we'll be doing some swearing in of Board of Trustee members and orientation and things like that. So it'll be a really exciting time. Yes, all the smiles. Based on what Mr. Ehrlich mentioned tonight, we did not have any public service power shutoffs in Wellington. When the power went off, it was due to the power lines shifting, waving around, something hitting them. It was not due to Excel intentionally turning off the service. We are talking to Excel about, what's in our undergrounding fund, things like that, so that maybe we can talk about and present to the board at a future time, some ideas about where to underground, what's a priority and things like that. But I wanted to make sure that the public was aware that that seems to be a rumor that continues to circulate, but Excel has not done any public service power shutoffs in Wellington. I will get with staff to determine when we can schedule a work session on the impact fees. So stay tuned. I'll be bringing that to the new board. Thank you.
Thank you. And then 5:30 for the work session, right? Next week?
If the board members can arrive at 5:30 to have headshots.
Retiring board members?
All board members, incoming and currently seated.
Okay.
We're switch out your laptops. We'll have headshots and a group photograph. And then the incoming members will need to meet with our HR director. But everyone should come at 5:30.
Perfect. Thank you. Any board reports? Trustee Teets.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone who had a possibility and ability to attend last night's volunteer appreciation dinner. It was so much fun to get to see all of the boards interacting, playing trivia, communicating with each other. I think that we separate everyone into these little groups and we forget that this is a community effort. So it's always awesome to get to see that reminder of just how big our volunteer community on all of our boards and commissions and committees is. And it was just a fantastic night. A huge thank you to the T-Bar. They always do such an amazing job with this event. The food, their steaks. Yeah, it was an amazing night. So that was one thing I did want to give a kudos to. And then I wanted to say welcome. Luckily, we have our new elected members sitting in front of us. And just wanted to share a bit as I'm stepping out of the position. As you step into this role, I encourage you to listen without prejudice and remain open to learning from the most unlikely of partnerships. There are many on this board who hold a wealth of knowledge in their respective fields, and use that to your advantage. Set clear goals early and return to them often. You can get very sidetracked. Asking yourself whether each decision moves your goals forward or pulls them off course. It's been a pleasure working with many of you and alongside our town staff. This is not an easy job, but the small wins, the moments that make a difference are what make the effort worthwhile and allow us to bring great things to the people we serve in the community. The partnerships and friendships that I have built with Trustee Cannon and Trustee Moyer are a testament to what's possible when outside noise is set aside and focus stays on serving the people and this community. I am better for having worked alongside of them. To both of you, it has truly been a privilege. We experienced the headbutting at the start of our relationship sitting as trustees, and I allowed a lot of outside noise to affect what I would say my ability to think a possibility of working with someone was. And then I got to experience Trustee Cannon, and I got to experience Trustee Moyer, Brian, Trustee Mayor Pro Tem, and we have worked together decently through the period, but I got to experience a different kind of partnership, and I am genuinely glad that I stepped out of my comfort zone and I tried, because the stuff that I've been able to do with Trustee Moyer, we have had a blast doing it. And it's something that had I had stuck to my prejudices, I probably would not have got to experience so much fun. So it's been a privilege getting to serve this community and serve as a voice to people who feel like they might not have one, or they're doing something else on a Tuesday night, like sports, family. So I'm grateful and honored to be able to have sat on this board for 4 years, and I got a privilege of volunteering for 8 years at the town level before that. So I'm looking forward to transitioning to always sunshine and never having to see snow again. So thank you. I appreciate it. Good luck, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Trustee Cannon.
Thank you. I heard Trustee Teets is going to tie a snow shovel to her, the top of her truck and start heading south. And she's only going to stop when somebody says, "What's that?" Anyway, it's been a pleasure working with you, Sherelle. The past 2 years, getting to know you, working together, that's been my commitment, is getting to know all the trustees and having those one-on-one conversations and coming into this with an open mind. And be willing to listen. And that means a lot to me. And I think this board does a great job of doing that. So that's all I've got. I wish you the best.
Let's see, just one real quick thing here this evening. Trustee Moyer did reach out to me earlier regarding a partnership between the American Legion and the Girl Scouts Club. It sounds like the American Legion has quite a bit of interest in maintaining the grounds at the Highland Cemetery. So I think the question really before the board tonight is, do we want her to kind of continue down that path and pursue that project and those partnerships? She's mentioned a number of things that the Girl Scouts would like to do, which is identify some of the veteran graves out there and put identifying markers out there and that sort of thing that we don't really have a good handle on currently. So that's kind of the question before the board as far as whether that's something we're interested in having her continue to look at.
They have approached staff about this as well, and we're talking about internally about the liabilities and what parts of the project they could take on. The Legion has talked about this is what I'm understanding is that they've talked about wanting to be able to like trim the trees and the shrubs and things like that. Well, this is town-owned property, so we have limitations about what, we wouldn't let anybody go out and trim trees at the park, at Centennial Park and things like that. This was requested of us last year as staff, and we gave reasons why it wasn't a viable project, but gave them some ideas and asked them to come in and talk to us to come up with some other projects that might work. So we are happy to continue this discussion. Trustee Moyer has talked to me about that. Trustee Cannon has also mentioned that he's talked to the Legion as well. So we do want to provide some volunteer opportunities for them. What they want to do, we are already taking care of internally, such as marking the graves. Town Clerk Hill is already working with a company that would do that professionally, doing the pins. We need to do a survey of the cemetery, things like that. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So I do love the enthusiasm. I love the idea, and I can work with Trustee Moyer and Trustee Cannon and Mayor Pro Tem Mason to make sure that, some project gets put together, but I would like for it to come through staff so that we can work through the areas of concern that we have. I mean, just liabilities, what's feasible, what can we allow, what's appropriate, things like that.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Appreciate the clarity on that as well.
Yeah.
I think that establishing that partnership, though, and being able to say, yes, we're going to sit down, we're going to set up a meeting with Trustee Moyer, the Girl Scouts, the Legion, and establish that partnership and have Trustee Moyer as like a base for that reach out to get in touch with town staff. I would love to see that fully supported, where they can start asking questions. They can go ahead and start doing things, finding out what they're allowed to do now, and then ask questions to find out if there is legalities or anything like that they need to be involved with. But I would love to see, I know this is a passion project for Trustee Moyer, so I would love to see that partnership bloom, and I think it's positive it moves forward.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, we'll keep moving forward with that as Ms. Garcia stated. Trustee Daly.
I did appreciate doing the comprehensive planning with a PSD this morning. You also have an opportunity to participate, although it's same time as our meeting next week. I do invite you to participate at Wellington Middle High School on April 21st, 5:30 to 7:30. PSD will be in town to talk about the criteria associated with the comprehensive planning. This is our opportunity to speak on behalf of Wellington. So any families, teachers, staff, anybody who wants to weigh in on the future of PSD schools in Wellington, I suggest that they attend and learn more at least about the project and what's going on. Let them know how important it is that how our schools are in our community. So that would be an opportunity to participate. Tomorrow also is the Cleveland Avenue Construction Support Series. It'll be tomorrow at 5:30 to 7:30 at Old Colorado. You can learn about the Cleveland Avenue construction project and learn also how you could receive up to $250 gift card for downtown Wellington. So there's a lot of really cool things going on. Great time to learn about it. Arbor Day is going to be celebrated by Wellington on April 25th, 11 a.m. to 2. I hope you guys can make it for a tree planting demonstration and others. Tons of fun festivity things that you can enjoy at our park events. So that's another thing that's upcoming right now. Trustee Teets, I wish you the best. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mayor Trustee, I apologize for interrupting. Trustee Moyer has her hand raised.
Oh, she sure does. Trustee Moore. Or not.
And Trustee Moyer, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I'm unmuted. I said, hey, Mr. Mayor, last time you have to hear my board report. Haha. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you, Trustee Mason and Trustee Teets for championing my project, not knowing if I would be here and able to do that or not. I really appreciate it. And I think it's very important just to have ownership in the cemetery for the vets, for the Legion to be able to participate in that in whatever capacity we end up finding that they can do that. I appreciate all the support from you guys and the thumbs up that I saw. So thank you so much for that. And I would like to say that when I was not even considering running for trustee, I had a lot of assumptions on the board members, and I had a lot of preconceived notions and influence from outside and all the things that help us to form our opinions about people. And I will say that as Trustee Meagan left, he left as my quote unquote BFF. And if you remember anything that I've said, I said a bunch of old white guys who, want to run this town. And he was the absolute opposite of that. And I just really appreciate him. And I am well, Ed, come on, I see you. You're that guy. So we're not talking about you. But I am humble enough to say that I made a mistake in prejudging him. And I am absolutely so ecstatic that I got to know a person like him and find out that we don't always know what we think we know. And I would say the same thing about Trustee Teets. I think she is grossly misunderstood. And I just have valued the time that I have been forced to spend with her through all these special projects. And I've gotten to know a different side of her than I thought I ever would. And so I'm really appreciative for that. And I'm very actually proud of us. I told her this last night after the volunteer appreciation dinner, that two people who are so completely opposite in our thoughts and values and what we thought were our values can come together and actually realize that we're more similar than we are different. And so I would encourage the entire town to just take that as an example perhaps and realize that we are so much more alike than we are different. And if you just take the time to get to know someone and actually really get to know them, you can actually find friendships in small places you never thought existed. That's it.
Thank you. Do you have something to say?
Yes, as the old white guy wanting to run this town, and I remember Miss Smith back there was calling me the wise old grandfather of the board at one point. Looks like I'm going to be the only old guy on the board now after this. So anyway, I keep everybody grounded. There you go. How's that?
Perfect. Yeah, I don't have anything to report. I mean, this is actually, the last one. So I said that last time, so now I'm saying it for real. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. Well, yeah, but it's not like a meeting, and you won't be here. So yeah, thank you guys, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Okay. Having no further business, do I hear a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect. I will. I now adjourn the regular meeting. Time being 7:39 p.m.